The Fallacy of Stuart Young's Claims on PNM's Misinformation, an editorial by Professor Wall Street. In a recent address, PNM Chairman Stuart Young urged the media to engage in rigorous fact-checking, especially in the lead-up to the 2025 general elections. While advocating for transparency and accountability, Young boldly claimed that the PNM government has never provided misinformation to the public. This assertion, however, does not hold up under scrutiny. Young's statement that at no point in time in the last 10 years, and even before that, can the media honestly and truly say that anyone in any position on the PNM has ever provided misinformation to the media is not only misleading, but also dismissive of documented instances where the government has indeed misled the public. Example 1. The COVID-19 pandemic. Response. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the government faced criticism for its handling of information related to the virus and vaccine distribution. There were instances where the public was given conflicting information about vaccine availability and the severity of the pandemic. This led to confusion and mistrust among citizens, highlighting a clear case of misinformation. Example 2. The 2021 budget presentation. In the 2021 budget presentation, Finance Minister Colum Imbert made several claims about the state of the economy that were later challenged by economists and opposition members. For instance, the projected growth rates and revenue figures were seen as overly optimistic and not reflective of the economic realities. This discrepancy between the government's narrative and the actual economic conditions is another example of misinformation. Example 3. The 2018 Petrotrin closure. The closure of the state-owned oil company Petrotrin in 2018 was surrounded by controversy and misinformation. The government initially justified the closure by citing unsustainable financial losses. However, subsequent reports and analyses revealed that the decision was also influenced by political considerations and not solely based on financial viability. This misrepresentation of facts had significant implications for the workers and the economy. Example 4. The ferry scandal. In 2017, the procurement process for the Ocean Flower 2 and Cabo Star ferries was marred by allegations of corruption and misinformation. The government initially claimed that the procurement process was transparent and above board. However, subsequent investigations revealed irregularities and a lack of due diligence, leading to public outcry and a loss of trust. Example 5. Crime statistics manipulation. There have been multiple occasions where the government has been accused of manipulating crime statistics to present a more favorable image. Repeated claims about declining crime rates have been contradicted by independent studies and media reports showing increases in violent crimes. The government's selective presentation of data has eroded public trust. Example 6. The Sandals Resort Project. The proposed Sandals Resort project in Tobago was another instance where the government faced accusations of misinformation. The government promoted the project as a significant boost to the local economy, but critics argued that the environmental and economic impacts were not fully disclosed. The lack of transparency and the eventual withdrawal of Sandals from the project raised questions about the government's handling of the information. Example 7. Stuart Young's contradictions on gas deals. As Minister of Energy, Stuart Young himself issued conflicting statements about gas negotiations with Venezuela. Initial assertions about securing favorable terms were contradicted by subsequent reports highlighting stalled agreements and geopolitical hurdles. Example 8. the Paria diving tragedy 2022. The tragic deaths of 4 divers in the Paria fuel line disaster exposed glaring inconsistencies in government communication. Initial claims downplayed the risks and the timeline of rescue efforts, only for subsequent investigations to reveal a lack of urgency and proper procedures. Misrepresentation versus transparency. While Stuart Young emphasizes the importance of fact-checking by the media, his government has often failed to hold itself to the same standard. Misinformation isn't limited to outright falsehoods. It includes selective disclosure, inconsistent statements, and deliberate framing to mislead public perception. For Young to assert that the PNM has never misled the public is not only inaccurate, but dismissive of documented cases where the government's actions and statements have fallen short of transparency. His remarks at the media event also sidestepped genuine concerns about press freedom. In conclusion, Stuart Young's assertion that the PNM government has never provided misinformation is not supported by the evidence. While it is essential for the media to engage in thorough fact-checking, it is equally important for government officials to acknowledge past mistakes and strive for greater transparency. Only by doing so can the government build trust with the public and ensure a more informed and engaged citizenry. Accountability is a two-way street. While the media has a duty to fact-check and report responsibly, the government must equally uphold its obligation to communicate truthfully and transparently. Rather than making sweeping claims of infallibility, Stuart Young and the PNM would do better to acknowledge past shortcomings and commit to genuine improvements in transparency and public trust. This approach, rather than finger-pointing at the media, will strengthen democracy and restore confidence in leadership.